Have you ever wanted something so badly you felt you could do anything to get it? Well, let me tell you a story about some very determined but not so wise dogs. Imagine a group of hungry dogs, their stomachs rumbling, their noses twitching. They stumble upon a stream, and at the very bottom, a treasure trove. A pile of delicious, chewy hides, left there by a tanner to soak. For a dog, a good hide is like a gourmet meal, a five-star feast. Their eyes lit up, tails started wagging uncontrollably. There was just one tiny problem. The water was deep. Way too deep. They paced back and forth along the bank, whining and whimpering. They tried stretching their necks, dipping their paws, but the hides remained tantalizingly out of reach. It was pure torture. Seeing their prize right there, yet completely inaccessible, frustration started to set in. So what do clever dogs do when faced with a problem? They hold a meeting, of course. They gathered in a circle, barking and yapping, throwing out ideas. Maybe we can build a raft, one suggested. Out of what leaves? Another scoffed. We could try to fish them out with a long stick, said a third, but there were no sticks long enough. The ideas got more and more desperate. Then, one dog, perhaps the most ambitious of the pack, had a brilliant, or so he thought, idea. He stood up tall and declared, "Friends, I have the solution. It's so simple, I can't believe we didn't think of it before. The water is the problem, right? So let's just get rid of the water." The other dogs looked at him, puzzled. Get rid of the water? How? They asked in unison. "We'll drink it," he announced proudly. "All of it. We'll drink the entire river, and then the hides will be ours for the taking." A moment of silence fell over the group, followed by a chorus of excited yaps. It sounded crazy, but it was a plan. It was something they could do. The sheer audacity of the idea was intoxicating. No more waiting, no more helplessness. They would take control. They would conquer the river itself. Full of renewed purpose, they lined up along the bank. On the count of 3, they plunged their faces into the stream and started drinking. They lapped and gulped and slurped, swallowing water as fast as they could. At first, it was invigorating. They felt powerful, working together towards their common goal. They imagined the water level slowly dropping, inch by inch. They could almost taste the savory hides. They drank and they drank. Their bellies started to swell. The cool water turned into a heavy weight in their stomachs. One dog paused, panting, his sides aching. Is it working? He gasped, looking at the river. But the water flowed on, just as deep and as swift as before. The hides at the bottom hadn't moved an inch closer. "Don't stop," shouted the leader, though his own voice was a bit gurgly. "We just need to drink more. We're a team. We can do this." Fueled by this misguided encouragement, they went back to it, drinking with even more frantic energy. They were so focused on the task, so fixated on the outcome, that they ignored the growing pain in their bodies. They ignored the fact that for all their effort, the river remained unchanged. It was a massive, flowing body of water, and their drinking was like trying to empty the ocean with a teaspoon. Then, the inevitable happened. One of the dogs let out a pained yelp and collapsed, his belly swollen to a painful, bursting point. The others barely noticed, lost in their frenzy. Soon after, another dog fell, and then another. One by one, the determined dogs drank until they literally burst. It's a grim picture, I know, but it paints a powerful point. In the end, the entire pack was gone. And the river? It flowed on, as high and as full as it had ever been. The hides remained peacefully at the bottom, untouched. All that effort, all that determination, all that teamwork, for absolutely nothing. They had set themselves an impossible task and pursued it with a stubbornness that led to their own demise. So, what's the real takeaway from this rather dramatic tale of doggy determination? The fable ends with a simple, blunt moral. Do not try to do impossible things. Now, that might sound a little pessimistic, right? We're always told to dream big, to shoot for the stars, to believe that anything is possible if you just try hard enough. And there's a lot of truth in that. Ambition, determination, and hard work are the engines of success. They can help you achieve incredible things that once seemed out of reach. But this story isn't about giving up on your dreams. It's about wisdom. It's about strategy. It's about knowing the difference between a challenging goal and a truly impossible one. The dog's goal wasn't the problem. Getting the hides was a fine goal for a hungry dog. Their method was the problem. Their strategy was fundamentally flawed, based on a complete misunderstanding of how the world works. You simply cannot drink a river dry. This fable is a warning against what we might call brute force stubbornness. It's that mindset where we believe that if we just throw more effort, more time, more energy at a problem, it will eventually yield. But sometimes, no amount of effort can make a bad strategy work. It's like trying to knock down a brick wall by running into it headfirst. You can be the most determined person in the world, but you'll just end up with a headache, and the wall will still be standing. The smarter approach would have been for the dogs to reassess. When their initial attempts failed, they should have taken a step back and analyzed the situation more realistically. Maybe they could have waited for the tanner to return. Maybe they could have found a different food source. Maybe they could have tried to find a tool, a fallen branch with a hook, something to snag the hides. Their problem was a failure of imagination and a failure to recognize the limits of their own capabilities against the laws of nature. In our own lives, we face our own rivers. We might be in a job where we feel like no matter how hard we work, we never get ahead. We might be in a relationship where we pour all our energy into making it work, but the fundamental issues never change. We might be pursuing a goal using a method that simply isn't effective. The lesson here is to pause and evaluate. Are you just drinking the river? Are you putting all your effort into a strategy that can't possibly succeed? It takes courage to admit that a plan isn't working. It takes wisdom to change course. Sometimes working smarter is infinitely more effective than just working harder. This doesn't mean you should be afraid of big challenges. It means you should approach them with intelligence. Break them down. Understand the mechanics of the problem. If one method doesn't work, don't just do it harder, try a different method. Be flexible, be creative, and most importantly, be realistic about what is and isn't possible. The dogs in the fable were driven by hunger and desire, which clouded their judgment. It is a great reminder for all of us to not let our own strong desires blind us to reality. Passion is a great fuel, but it needs to be guided by a sensible map. Otherwise, you might just end up bursting with effort, with nothing to show for it, but a river that flows on, completely indifferent. So, next time you face a daunting task, ask yourself, am I trying to reach the hides, or am I just trying to drink the river? Knowing the difference can save you a whole lot of trouble. Thanks so much for watching. If this story gave you something to think about, I'd love it if you'd hit that like button and subscribe for more tales and thoughts. Let me know in the comments if you've ever found yourself drinking the river and how you managed to change your strategy. See you in the next video.